Hello and welcome. This is the abbreviated West Virginia University Football Podcast. I am Mike Casazza from earsports.com. This is a Paramount podcast. And as the title would indicate, this is a quick podcast about West Virginia University football. We'll just talk about three items that figured to be important during the week leading up to the game. And this week, of course, is the season opener for 2024. Number 8 Penn State coming to Morgantown at noon on Saturday. A whole lot to unwrap. But before we do, first, thanks to you for coming back and doing this with me again. We started this last year kind of messing around, trying to think of a new format to get people talking about the team, the game, the week that's coming up, what to expect in print, what to expect on the field. And here we are, backed by popular demand. I'm not sure what the demand was or how popular it is, but we're back. So let's stick with that right now and go from there. If we're back, it means we are in a new season. And, I get a little bit sad about that sometimes. Summer's fun for me. No games, no deadlines, just stealing paychecks. Don't tell anybody that. Season comes, all my friends, they get excited about tailgating or going to games, things I can't really do. And the tailgating always gets me because who doesn't love a good tailgate, right? I go to concerts, I go to other sporting events. Football games different for me, obviously, especially the ones in Morgantown. But, the text chains, I can't resist sometimes. Who's bringing tables and cutlery and sausages and hot dogs and nesty and all that stuff? And I got to chip in and just say, hey, guys, I got something for you. It's a brief podcast about WVU football. Three items on the menu. One starts with the W, one starts with the V, one starts with the U. Let's get to it. The W today, well. Here we are. Penn State in Morgantown. First time since 1992. Think about this will be the 60th game these two have played. Penn State leads the series 49, 9, and 2. That includes a 17, 6, and 1 record in Morgantown. Nittany Lions are accustomed to winning in the series. They're accustomed to being successful at Mountaineer Field. Just haven't been here since 1992. That was the last time they played before last season when Penn State won 38-15 in State College. So what happened this year? Well, we'll see. Well, we want to know. Well, we'll find out. Don't let this one go, to your head. It's not like a regular thing that's going to happen. This is, again, just two times now since 1992. It used to be fairly more common. This is one of those things that the conference realignment, even before it happened, it kind of took away from people. And everybody says, oh, the expansion and the way the conferences have shuffled is such a new thing and it's frustrating. It's not. And this is one of the reasons it's not, because this used to be very regular, even if it wasn't good for West Virginia. But you beat Penn State, and boy, that put a stamp on things. And here you are so many years later. It could be the same thing for the Mountaineers. So this could be a really big occasion for West Virginia. And it could just be another day for Penn State as that team looks toward the Big Ten, winning or at least competing for that championship and getting into the CFP. But man, doesn't the same hold true for West Virginia? Win this, and all of a sudden you can grab the flag that Texas and Oklahoma have abandoned in the Big 12 as they head to the SEC. And it's up in the air for anybody. Why not a team that can go out and get it with a huge game? Noon, Fox kicking off the season. Long time coming, like I said. I think about this too. Yeah, 1992, big gap in between. This series that ends at about 4 o'clock Saturday, it was signed in 2013. That's how long these things take to get on the field and get going again. So who knows when it'll be. Like I said, don't just take this one for granted. It could be a lot of fun. It could certainly be meaningful for the Mountaineers. The V, well, we're gonna make this simple because sometimes I just try to think of like fancy words, and it's a long season, so I have to mix it up and not use the same ones very often. So I might use vindication, I might use vengeance, I might use villain. How about this, Darren? And Eddie V, he just fits right here. Maybe he personifies the verve going on within the locker room right now, but he had the honor of speaking to the media, and he said that the way last season's game ended with Penn State scoring a touchdown with 6 seconds to go really bothered him, and he hoped it bothered everybody else in the team. Garrett Green later said, nah, the last play doesn't matter. It was more like not executing during the game. Neil Brown said, it is what it is 3 times, which means that certainly it is something if he was hung up on that. He didn't like it at the end of the game last year. Said he wouldn't have done it, but he didn't mind. Said that he feels the same way now, but he hopes his team has more motivation. I kind of get the idea that this does matter to the Mountaineers, and if they're putting it on TVs in the meeting rooms on a loop so that the defenders in particular can see how Penn State punctuated that game, they could probably find other ways to motivate the team, but they chose that one for a reason. This is probably a team that doesn't need a whole lot of motivation, so every little bit can help and every little bit can motivate people differently. But what Edward Vesterinen did tell us, thankfully, was that one snapshot from last year's game has been used this season to just calibrate the team and make them remember that there's a lot of emphasis, a lot of urgency, a lot of let's just say emotion involved in this one here too. And don't please make Vesteren the villain here. I will never do that. We ask student athletes and coaches and anybody who put a microphone in front of to be authentic with us. When someone is, do not make that person the bad person. If he's answering a question honestly about what's going on in his locker room, in his head, hey, that should be applauded and not, should be discouraging people from doing stuff like that. Least of all, someone like me who does rely on those questions to get to the bottom of matters. Our last one here, what does this one mean? I'm going to say unabashed, and it kind of dovetails off of Ed Vestern and what he said. But I find a team right now that is unabashed in the way it feels it is composed and lined up at the start of the season, and the way it believes it'll perform once this season starts. I find a lot of confidence in this team that you don't often find covering West Virginia in recent years. And it's not being braggadocious or arrogant or overly confident. I just find a team that really believes what it is saying when it is talking about itself, or it's made to answer questions from people like me. And sometimes, you wonder, where did that come from? Or how much of an exaggeration or embellishment is that? I don't get a lot of that. And that's sometimes even when it's juicy comments from someone like Chad Scott, who says that they have elite talent and they're a real contender in the Big 12. Why wouldn't you believe that after what you saw last season and what you know the Big 12 to be right now? You look at the defense and you might be a little bit more curious, but when you hear about great depth and impact performers in the transfer portal, yeah, you've seen the defense the last couple of years, but when has this defensive staff really gone over the top with praise when it's been describing problems and shortcomings before? Not often, right? So when they are feeling good about themselves, offense, defense, even special teams, right now, you kind of believe it because they've been on something for a while. Last season, all the way through their ups and downs, they thought they were going to be okay. They thought they'd peak toward the end of the season. They'd figured things out on offense, and that's all kind of what happened. So this offseason, yeah, momentum, promise, potential, excitement, pepper with a whole bunch of optimistic explanations and even previews from the people involved. Why wouldn't you believe it? We don't have any proof right now that they're wrong, and that's what happens when the season starts, and you get, check marks in one corner and check marks in the other. What's right, what's wrong, what's true, what's false, what's perception, what's reality? Well, we'll find out on Saturday. So that'll wrap it up this time because we are at the beginning of the season. Villains from Penn State are in town, and West Virginia has a unique approach to a season that has not had in recent years.